There's been a new addition to the Furious Driving family. Yes, it's another Mini. This time it's an F54 Clubman. Woohoo! This is now the 4th Mini, I think, that we've had in our family. It's been a bit of an ongoing trend, it would appear. But once you get used to cars with, and I dread to use the word character, but certain cars do have that indefinable something which is the curse of the motoring journalist. Character. A bit interesting. You can't go back to something else that's, you know, basically a Focus or a Golf, really, can you? Now, I guess this is the progression that Mini want you to take, or BMW, I guess, really, because they want you to stay within the brand. Because if they didn't have this sort of mini estate car for you to move up to from your 5-door or your 3-door, then you would have to go and buy. Well, I guess you could move up to a 1 Series, but that's not really going to be as exciting, is it, as a Mini? A few years ago, we had the original F54 Mini Clubman with the 3 doors, and a bit strange and kind of fun though. But obviously, time went on, dog came along, children got bigger, and it was a bit awkward and too small. So we moved up to an F56 5-door Cooper. And time moves on, children get bigger, dogs multiply, that got too small. So now we have the logical progression. You don't want to go a bigger car that's not a Mini because you still like a Mini. So what do? You buy a Clubman. Believe it or not, there are some people who'd rather have a new car and all the expense that goes with that rather than 6 or 7 or 8 older, interesting cars which may or may not work every day of the week. But my wife is one of those people, but at least she's chosen something interesting. And here it is, a Mini Cooper Clubman Classic, or a Mini Clubman Cooper Classic. I forget the order the words go in. But here it is, the F54 shape Mini estate car, basically. When BMW brought the Mini brand back, one of the many things they were criticised for was the fact it's not very Mini anymore. But one of the other things, of course, was the fact the name Clubman wasn't an estate. It was a square-fronted Mini back in the 70s. So why did they do that? Well, it was legal stuff, really, because they forgot to buy the name Countryman and they forgot to buy the name Traveller. So they couldn't have a Countryman with an estate. They had to make the Clubman this way. Anyway, they bought those names now. That's why there's that massive thing, the off-road SUV jobby, which we will another day. But this is it, the 2019, the F54. When it was launched, it was the biggest Mini ever built. The new Countryman has now taken that crown. And it's the perfect car if you love your Minis and your family has outgrown the 3-door, the 5-door. You want to keep that Mini experience, but you just need a bit more space. This is the one. Now, I'm going to have to refer to my notes at this point because my memory isn't this good. This car is built on the BMW UK L2 platform, which is a front-wheel drive modular platform. It's shared with the BMW 2 Series Grand Tourer, the BMW 2 Series Active Tourer, the BMW F88 Shape X1, the BMW F39 Shape X2, a China-only BMW 1 Series, the F52, which is front-wheel drive but looks like a 1 Series coupe, and of course the Mini Countryman. That's a lot of mileage out of one platform. Here at the front, the styling is the same as pretty much every other Mini bar the Countryman. You've got the same headlamps, same grille, same badge, same air intakes. It's the same car. It's the same face. Although it's actually a tiny bit bigger overall, so it looks the same, but things like the roof bars from your F55 won't actually attach on the F54, which is annoying if you're trading up from one to the other, like we did. Under the bonnet, it's got a 1.5 or 1499cc 3-cylinder turbo engine, which makes 136 horsepower and 220 newton meters of torque, which means also it'll go 120 miles an hour and gives it a 0 to 60 of 7.9 seconds. There you go, stats fans, I remembered all of that. Honestly, there's not a lot to see under here. There's a badge that says twin turbo power and a badge that says Mini. What this needs is a strut brace and a massive air intake. Of course, it's here around the back of the car that things are interesting and, as far as I'm aware, unique. Because I can't think of any other cars with barn doors on the back. Not this side of a transit van anyway. So this is really cool. It's different, it makes the car stand out. When you're loading stuff into the back of it, you've not got to contend with the tailgate sitting in your face. If you're in a low garage, it's not going to bang the ceiling. Of course, the trade-off is if it's tipping with rain, you can't hide under the tailgate and load things in or out of the boot and put welly boots on, that kind of stuff. So that level of practicality is lost, sadly. Here in the back, they've gone to town with cubbies. You've got a little pocket in both of the doors. You've got a little kind of mesh-covered pocket on either side of you. And under the boot itself, under the boot floor, you've got a second floor. So you can lift that away completely if you want. That even catches up top on little push buttons. So this load space is actually really well thought out. You've got light on both sides, you've got a power socket, you've even got a load hanger here, and this double floor goes down on the little buttons, and it even folds back in half so you can access things easily. The only thing I don't like is the fact that instead of a spare wheel, you get a puncher repair kit and a pump. I have never had a puncher that could be repaired with one of these things. Personally, I absolutely hate those things. Because this car is a little bit longer in the boot, you actually can buy a spare wheel kit, which I think we will be doing for this because no one likes being stranded. This is the family Mini. If you've got dogs, if you've got kids, if you take mountain bikes and kayaks and stuff out, then this is the Mini for you because there's tons of room. The way they sell the Countryman is the fact that it's an outdoors car. It's got a great big SUV. You can put things on the roof. The problem with the Countryman, it's an SUV. You can't reach the roof. This is the perfect height for putting things on the top of. If you've got kayaks or bikes, this is an easy lift. Not an SUV, which is up here somewhere, so beyond the level of your reach. This is the perfect family car in many ways. The interior, which is of course the place you spend most of your time when you're owning a car, really does feel like a premium product. You can tell they've spent a lot of money in developing, designing, using the right materials, making everything soft touch and squeak free. It's a lovely cockpit to be in, and it's very comfortable and really well laid out. For the first time, I think, in a Mini, you now have this iDrive-like thing taken from bigger BMWs, so you can control your media, map, nav, get into the phone system. Of course, the screen's touchscreen as well, but if you prefer to just have your hand resting on the armrest and doing it, then it's perfect. There's lots of carryover from the original R50 Mini. You've got your little control deck up here of chrome toggles surrounded by semicircular parts which control the interior lighting and the mood lighting as well. You can either fix the mood lighting on any colour you want or have it rotating in its own sweet time as it scrolls through reds, blues, greens. And following the colour theme, the rim around the radio also follows your volume level, and when you're changing the temperature, it goes from red to blue as well. Below the radio, still in that circular thing back from the 1950s still, but no longer the Speedo anymore, not since the R50, you have your heater and ventilation aircon controls as you have in the rest of the range for the last few years. Keeps you in the family feeling. And down the bottom, you still have those little lovely chrome toggles, because now you have a start-stop switch here in the centre. Whoops. Of course, no car is now complete without focusing on connectivity as the #1 selling point. As well as a regular power point and a USB, this car now has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so that USB slot actually integrates your phone into the car's systems. And next to the iDrive control system, you have one of my most hated things in all modern cars, the electric handbrake. Ugh. These are a pain to use. They're going to be a pain to maintain in a few years' time when they stop working properly. Every car seems to have them. I don't know why. I think for weight saving or something probably, but they are horrible. But hey, positive note, you've got loads of cubby holes. In front of this USB thing, you've got a perfect glasses shape little tray here and 2 cup holders. In the centre, we've got a phone sized cubby hole, and below that, a great big cubby hole. The only thing you haven't got a cubby hole for is the key. And this is such a common problem on cars with keyless entry and keyless whatever, everything else. Because what are you meant to do with it? Stick in your cup holder? Where's your cup go? Stick in your glasses holder? No, it's going to scratch your glasses. Stick in your phone holder? No, it's going to scratch your phone. Stick it all the way down here? That's a hassle. It'll rattle in the door and it'll dig in your pocket. What am I supposed to do with this thing? Could someone please come up with a solution? Oh. Sitting here in this rather comfortable driver's seat, the first thing I notice is that I've put massive great white footprints all over the brand new floor. This car has only got 72 miles on it, and I'm the first person to make a footprint in it, so I'm very sorry. But the seating position hasn't really changed from the F55 5-door and the 3-door Coopers as well, which also have a great driving position. The seat is, yeah, it's fairly supportive around the back. It's a bit short on your thighs, I find, but that's just me, it's just the shape I am. Maybe if you're a smaller person, it won't be a problem, but then I'm not a huge person, so maybe it is a problem. I don't know. The steering wheel is a lovely chunky leather-clad thing, which is really tactile and grippy. And you've got controls for your cruise control on your left, your radio and volume on your right, and a phone and voice activator on just here, just all waiting for your thumb to touch. Ooh, the Maserati going past. Listen to that. Oh, a V8. Oh, lovely. And of course you've got your auto lights, auto wipers, indicators and everything. And this is all perfectly in finger reach when your hand's on the wheel. They've done a great job using premium feel materials. Everything is soft touch, so nothing feels cheap. This is the difference between a cheaper, medium or small size car and a car in this price point, in that everything you touch feels high quality. And having been around the factory a couple of times, I would absolutely say these are definitely well-made cars. This little Aztec zigzag thing across the dashboard is a nice touch, adds a bit of detail where otherwise it could have been a bit boring and bland. This car's got the full integrated DAB, sat-nav, touchscreen, you name it, it's got it. iDrive driven, same as in the full-size BMWs. It's a really good entertainment system which kind of covers all of your needs. For your and your passengers and your car's protection, this car now has front-end collision warning, and you can configure how far away it starts to alert you. If you're above 30 miles an hour, it'll just flash and scream at you saying you're going to crash, so hopefully you'll react and brake. If you're below 30 miles an hour, it will actually brake for you. I've run out of things to say about the interior of this car. Let's go and take a drive. Well, this does feel like such a premium product. The steering has a nice heavy weight to it that gives a real positive feel. And the ride is far more fluid and supple than the 5-door Cooper, I find. I always felt that on a long journey it was just a little bit too jittery in the 5-door. I don't know if it's the short wheelbase, if it's different spring and damper settings, but this just kind of coasts over things, whereas the 5-door would not really clatter, but it would just judder slightly. I like this car a lot more instantly, and I have to say I like the other one quite a lot as it was. I'm guessing that as this is more of a family car than the 5-door, which is still kind of a family car, they've dialed down a slightly softer bunch of suspension settings for you to cruise on. Now, I've really not been nailing this car yet because it's only got 76 miles on the clock so far. But even so, just taking it gently and keeping the revs under about 3,000, it feels really brisk. And a complaint from the R55 shaped Clubman has gone. There's no road noise from the back of the car. It's really quite mellow and quiet in here, very subdued indeed. Looking in the mirror, there's quite an interesting sort of bulge on the rear flank over the back wheels. Makes the car kind of feel quite purposeful. This comes with a 6-speed manual as standard. I believe there's a 6-speed auto as well if you really want to ruin the car. But this is a nice gearbox. It's very kind of snickety. It's not got that kind of mechanical feel that some boxes have, but it's very pleasant to use nonetheless. If you're in a nice twisting country lane, you're going to enjoy snapping it from one gear to the next. There are 3 basic bugbears I've got with this car. The first is that door shut in the back. The door frame is all you can see in that rear view mirror. It's very annoying. Second is this electronic handbrake, which I absolutely hate. And thirdly is the fact there's nowhere to put your electronic key. Other than that, it's generally pretty good. One thing you will notice if you've come from a larger car is that the window frame of the windscreen does seem to cut into your vision a bit. Other cars do it as well. My C-Class does it, Jaguar XF does it, and it's surprising considering how upright that windscreen is. Perhaps if you're used to a car where the glass wraps more over you, it could feel a bit claustrophobic, but I don't think it's really a problem, and you'll get used to it very quickly, even if it is. Typical Mini traits are it's still a lot of fun to drive, and I still can't see anything past that massive mirror. Okay, it's a fourth thing I don't like about it. But on the whole, I really enjoy this car. It's grippy and fun and just everything you want to be. And it's gone back to being more like the old R50 Mini was before. It's a nice soft ride, but it still feels sporty. It's how sports cars used to be 20 years ago. It's a great fun car to drive, but at the same time, it's comfortable. There's a ton of room in the back, a ton of room in the boot. What more do you need? Personally, I think this car looks amazing in this particular shade of blue. Incredibly, this is one of the standard price colours. To go to a matte finish blue, which is a very cool colour, but a bit drab in comparison, is a whole bunch more money. But the styling is very cleverly done. It kind of conceals the car's bulk, because it is quite a big vehicle, but where do you stand away from it? Partly maybe it's your memory playing tricks on you and remembering how big a Mini ought to be. It doesn't feel or doesn't appear to be a particularly big car. But inside, there's a lot of space. Here's my elbow on the armrest, tons of space. I can't reach the other door from here, which you can in the R50. This car's not yet had the dog test to see how they cope in it. It still smells like a brand new car, and there aren't dog hairs absolutely everywhere, so that's being put off for the time being. I really like how they've taken elements of the old Mini from the 50s, the Mini from the early noughties, the original new Mini, and combined it with parts of its own being to make it its own car. Thanks for watching. Well, as always, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please don't leave a nasty comment or hit dislike, because only bad people do that and you'll go to hell, bad person. Hope you've enjoyed it. Tune in again next time, where I'm going to be driving something from the 90s. For once, I've got a plan. Who knew?